Tom Brady took 23 seasons to build a dynasty. But what if Shedeur Sanders could eclipse it in half the time? What's happening in Cleveland right now might rewrite NFL history.
Shot quarterback.
Right.
Maybe you hope maybe in high school, Ocho, he punted or kicked or something. But for the most part, if you're gonna keep somebody extra, it's gonna be a wide receiver, a DB, somebody that can play special teams. That's why they say, hey, special teams is the quickest way to earn a place on the roster. Unless you're one of the top, now you top dog. I mean, we get that. You Joe Burrow or Chase or somebody like that, Lamar, we get that. But guys that are not extra, like say starter, that when, hey, one's up, he runs on the field, and when it's fourth down, he comes off the field and he ain't got to stay out there for punt and stuff. Special teams, the more you can do, the longer you can play. The more you can do, the longer you can play. But I didn't like this at all, because like I said, here we 3 months in, Ocho, and this man talking about that's an Andrew Berry pick.
They're trying to break him up. It's all mind games.
They are
all mind games.
They did what they did. They were like, we gonna show you. We gonna show Coach Prime. They talk about the Mannings, and everybody looked at the Mannings, and Eli did what he did, and Arch, and so forth and so on. It's like, nah, you're not gonna do that. We're gonna show you. We're gonna start it right here, and then we're gonna take it a little further. We only gonna give you a handful of reps.
Something's happening in Cleveland that nobody saw coming. While the NFL world was focused on flashy free agent signings and blockbuster trades, the Browns quietly assembled what might be the most dangerous quarterback situation in the league. Tom Brady built his empire over 2 decades, methodically, predictably, but Shedeur Sanders? He's about to flip that entire playbook upside down. Right now, as we speak, during these scorching July training camp sessions at the cross-country Mortgage campus, Sanders is showing glimpses of something that transcends everything we thought we knew about quarterback excellence. The veterans in that locker room aren't just impressed. They're witnessing the birth of a dynasty that will make Brady's Patriots run look like child's play. And here's the crazy part. Sanders isn't even the starter yet. But after what happened during those recent practice sessions, that's about to change everything. Look, I know what you're thinking. Another young quarterback getting hyped up before he's even proven anything. Trust me, I get it. We've seen this movie before. But this isn't just another draft pick with potential. This is something entirely different, and I'm about to break down exactly why Shedeur Sanders is positioned to accomplish something that will make Tom Brady's legendary career look like the opening act. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Tom Brady is the GOAT, right? 7 Super Bowl rings, countless records, the comeback king. But here's what nobody wants to admit. Brady succeeded in spite of the system, not because of it. He grinded for 2 decades, fighting uphill battles, dealing with mediocre receivers for half his career, and constantly having to prove himself over and over again. It was beautiful, it was inspiring, but it was also inefficient. Shedeur Sanders is walking into a completely different universe. We're talking about a quarterback who's been groomed for greatness since he could hold a football, who's already mastered the mental side of the game that took Brady years to figure out, and who's stepping into an NFL that's perfectly designed for his skill set. While Brady was learning to manage the game and lean on his defense, Sanders is ready to dominate from day one. But let's talk about what's really happening in Cleveland right now, because this is where the story gets interesting. The Browns didn't just draft Sanders. They orchestrated the perfect storm. They brought in Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl champion who knows what it takes to win at the highest level. They added Kenny Pickett, a young gun with something to prove. And then there's Dillon Gabriel, another talented quarterback they snagged in the 3rd round. This isn't just a quarterback competition, it's a masterclass in development. Picture this scene from last week's practice sessions. It's Tuesday, July 29th, Military Appreciation Day. The gates opened at 1 p.m. Fans are settling into those first-come, first-served bleacher seats, and Edwin's food truck is serving up lunch while everyone grabs their Cleveland Browns schedule posters. But down on those practice fields, something extraordinary is unfolding. Sanders isn't just going through the motions. He's commanding the huddle like a 10-year veteran. His footwork is pristine, his reads are instantaneous, and his arm strength? It's putting balls in places that have coaches stopping mid-conversation to watch. But here's the kicker. He's doing it with the poise and confidence that Brady didn't develop until his mid-30s. Now, I want you to think about Brady's journey for a moment. Drafted 199th overall, sitting behind Drew Bledsoe, getting his shot because of an injury. It was a fairy tale, but it was also a product of circumstance. Sanders? He's not waiting for circumstances. He's creating them. The modern NFL is a quarterback's paradise compared to what Brady faced early in his career. The rules protect quarterbacks, the passing game is wide open, and offensive schemes are more sophisticated than ever. Sanders is walking into this environment with skills that Brady spent years developing. The pocket presence, the pre-snap reads, the ability to extend plays. Sanders already has these tools in his arsenal. But here's where it gets really interesting. Brady's greatest strength was his adaptability. He could win with any system, any set of receivers, any game plan. That's what made him special. But Sanders? He's not just adaptable, he's innovative. He's bringing concepts and techniques that didn't exist when Brady was coming up. The way he processes information, the way he manipulates defenses with his eyes, the way he uses his mobility not just to escape pressure, but to create throwing lanes. This is next-level quarterbacking. Let's talk numbers for a second, because this is where the comparison gets really wild. Brady threw for 89,214 yards and 649 touchdowns over 23 seasons. Incredible numbers that seemed untouchable. But here's the thing. Brady was playing in an era where 4,000 yards was considered elite. Sanders is entering an NFL where 5,000-yard seasons are becoming routine for top quarterbacks. The pace of the modern game, the number of passing attempts, the efficiency of offensive systems. Sanders has the potential to put up numbers that will dwarf Brady's totals in half the time. We're talking about a quarterback who could realistically throw for 400,000 yards and 400 touchdowns over a 15-year career. Those aren't just better numbers. They're numbers from a different planet. But statistics don't tell the whole story. Brady's legacy isn't just about numbers, it's about moments. The comebacks, the clutch performances, the way he elevated his game when everything was on the line. Can Sanders do that? Based on what we're seeing in these early training camp sessions, the answer is a resounding yes. There's a story that's been circulating around the Browns facility. During one of those intense practice sessions, Sanders finds himself in a simulated 2-minute drill situation. The defense is bringing pressure, the coverage is tight, and everything is breaking down. But instead of panicking, instead of taking the safe check down, Sanders steps up in the pocket, absorbs a hit, and delivers a perfect strike down the seam for a touchdown. The veterans on the sideline? They're shaking their heads in disbelief. Joe Flacco, who's seen everything in his career, is reportedly telling teammates that he's never seen a young quarterback with that kind of composure. Kenny Pickett, who's fighting for his own starting job, can't help but respect what he's witnessing. This is where the Brady comparison really takes shape. Brady was famous for his clutch gene, his ability to perform when the lights were brightest. But here's the difference. Brady developed that clutch gene through years of experience, through failures and comebacks and learning from mistakes. Sanders seems to have been born with it. Think about the pressure Sanders has been under his entire life. Playing for his father at Colorado, living up to the Sanders name, dealing with constant scrutiny and expectations. Most quarterbacks would crumble under that pressure. Sanders? He's thrived on it. He's already proven he can perform on the biggest stages, against the best competition, with everything on the line. Now he's bringing that mentality to Cleveland, to a franchise that's been starving for quarterback excellence. The Browns haven't had a truly elite quarterback since, well, maybe ever. They've had good quarterbacks, serviceable quarterbacks, but never someone with the potential to be truly transcendent. Sanders changes that equation entirely. But let's address the elephant in the room. Can anyone really be better than Tom Brady? I mean, 7 Super Bowl rings speak for themselves, right? Here's the thing though, Brady's greatness was partly a product of his longevity. He played at an elite level for so long that his cumulative achievements became untouchable. But what if someone could achieve the same level of success in a shorter time frame? Sanders has advantages that Brady never had. The salary cap in Brady's era made it difficult to surround quarterbacks with elite talent consistently. Sanders is entering an NFL where creative cap management and player movement make it easier to build and maintain championship rosters. The Browns have already shown they're willing to invest in talent, and with Sanders as their cornerstone, they can attract free agents who want to be part of something special. The coaching and development systems are also light years ahead of where they were when Brady entered the league. Sanders is working with coaches who have access to advanced analytics, video technology, and training methods that simply didn't exist 20 years ago. He's not just learning how to play quarterback, he's mastering the position at a molecular level. And then there's the intangible factor, the it factor that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. Brady had it, obviously, but Sanders? He has something different. There's a swagger, a confidence, a presence that goes beyond just physical ability. When he walks into a huddle, players believe. When he steps up to the line of scrimmage, defenses get nervous. That's not something you can teach. That's something you're born with. The timeline is what makes this really interesting. Brady's peak years were arguably from 2007 to 2019, about a 12-year span where he was consistently playing at an MVP level. Sanders is walking into the league at 23 years old, which means his peak years could span from 2025 to 2040. 15 years of prime Shedeur Sanders in an NFL that's becoming more quarterback-friendly every season. Do the math on that. If Sanders can maintain elite-level play for 15 years in today's NFL, we're looking at potential numbers that would make Brady's statistics look quaint. We're talking about a quarterback who could throw for 6,000 yards multiple times, who could win 5 MVP awards, who could lead his team to 6 or 7 Super Bowl appearances. But championships are what ultimately define quarterback legacies, and this is where Sanders has his biggest opportunity. Brady won 7 Super Bowls, but he also had some advantages that Sanders won't have. Brady played in a weak AFC East for most of his career, facing division rivals that rarely posed serious threats. Sanders is entering an AFC North that includes the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals, 3 teams with championship aspirations and elite talent. That actually works in Sanders' favor, though. If he can dominate in a loaded division, if he can consistently beat elite competition, his accomplishments will carry more weight. A Super Bowl victory for Sanders in Cleveland would mean more than Brady's first title in New England, simply because of the degree of difficulty. And let's talk about that Cleveland factor for a moment. Brady had the luxury of playing for stable, well-run organizations his entire career. The Patriots and Buccaneers knew how to build championship teams around their quarterback. Cleveland has been, well, Cleveland. But that's changing. The current Browns organization has shown they're willing to do whatever it takes to win, and with Sanders as their centerpiece, they can finally build something sustainable. Imagine Sanders leading the Browns to their first Super Bowl victory. The city of Cleveland, starving for championship success, finally getting their moment of glory behind a quarterback who embodies everything they've been hoping for. That story writes itself, and it's a story that would resonate far beyond anything Brady accomplished in New England. The stage is set for something unprecedented. Sanders has the talent, the mental makeup, the supporting cast, and the opportunity to accomplish something that seemed impossible just a few years ago, surpassing Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time. Now, I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now. He hasn't even taken a regular season snap yet. And you're right. This is all projection, all potential, all hope and dreams. But sometimes you can see greatness coming from miles away. Sometimes the signs are so obvious, so overwhelming that denying them becomes impossible. Sanders isn't just another promising young quarterback. He's a generational talent walking into a perfect situation at the perfect time in NFL history. The pieces are aligned for him to accomplish something that will make Brady's career look like the warm-up act for the main event. So here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about this. What if we're witnessing the beginning of something that will completely redefine quarterback excellence? What if the Sanders era doesn't just match Brady's success, but makes it look ordinary by comparison? The 2025 season is just around the corner. Those training camp battles in Cleveland are setting the stage for what could be the most important quarterback storyline in NFL history. And when Sanders finally gets his shot, when he finally gets to show the world what he's capable of, we might look back on this moment as the beginning of something truly special. The Brady era was incredible, but the Sanders era? That's going to be legendary. And it all starts right here, right now, in Cleveland. What do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders really capable of surpassing Tom Brady? Or am I getting caught up in the hype? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more NFL content that goes beyond the headlines.